If you've been around the mobile tech space for more than, let's say, 5 years, then you probably see LG as one of the industry's greatest innovators, or perhaps in the past you did. The company pushed cameras and display tech while flipping the script in ergonomics and design. However, in the past couple of years, the devices that LG has been making have been less and less desirable to the general public, with brands like OnePlus, Xiaomi and Realme overtaking them in European markets. It's not necessarily that LG phones of recent have been bad, but they haven't been catering to the same kind of user base as the more popular phones. They cater more to a niche category of users, those who particularly want what LG offers. I sat down and talked to Juan Carlos Bagnell, tech analyst and resident LG mobile guy here on YouTube, about what made LG such a core focus for him and enthusiasts alike.
For myself personally, LG helped to replace another audio-focused brand when we started walking away from HTC. And they were a unique combination of content consumption through amazing, just absolutely unmatched audio processing capabilities. And then they genuinely focused on a tier of content creation that no other manufacturer had delivered, rivaling standalone cameras. And now the rest of the market can kind of play with some of those features, but no one product really has stapled together both of those unique experiences outside of LG.
Whilst having that unique selling factor is great, it can't work at scale because there aren't enough people who want specifically that feature set. Quad DAC, many have moved on to wireless audio. Expandable storage, most phones either have 128GB of base capacity or cloud-based storage these days. And when you consider the price of the LG versus its competition, 9 times out of 10, the other device looks like the better deal. And unfortunately, LG couldn't keep up in this ultra-competitive landscape. So it had to pull out of the smartphone market. On Monday, LG announced that it's exiting the smartphone space to focus its efforts on other more profitable sectors such as displays, AI, smart tech and vehicle components, and aims to completely be out of the space on the 31st of July 2021. This makes a lot of sense given the dropping of sales for LG, but it's a real shame because it means less competition across the world, which is only really ever a bad thing. Remember HTC? Yeah, I know, right? And Motorola really hasn't been the same since the Lenovo acquisition. Looking back at some of LG's greatest innovations, it all kind of starts with the Nexus 4 for me personally. I remember LG phones before this, don't get me wrong, but the Nexus 4 was just such a unique device. It mixed soft touch plastic with glass on the front and the back. It had a wider than 16:9 aspect ratio as opposed to a taller than 16:9 that we see these days. It had that awesome textured back, which wasn't really a texture, it was more of a pattern, but I think it looked really cool. And of course it had that super clean software that we're used to seeing on Pixel devices these days. Moving on a few years, the LG G3 was a device that really pushed LG's mobile division to near the top of the food chain. There were some super useful rear volume buttons that LG introduced with the G2, a big 5.5-inch Quad HD display, and of course who could forget about the class-leading rear camera. Yes, there was actually a point in time where LG was considered one of the big dogs in the smartphone space. What about the LG V10 though, with 2 screens? I mean, yeah, sure, it had a 5.7-inch display and it was really big for the time, but above that was a smaller display that displayed notifications and app shortcuts. It was awesome. It might have been a bit gimmicky, but it was really cool and no one else was doing it. The same goes for the LG G Flex 1 and 2, smartphones with concavely curved displays for added immersion when viewing in landscape and better ergonomics. They are really strange looking LG devices and there's probably a reason why the concave design didn't catch on, but it's cool to see them. And it's those kind of innovations that we're going to miss out on without LG in space. And then we come on to the LG V40. Now, to a lot of you this might not seem significant, but I actually made a video on this way back saying that it was the most important phone of its given year. That was because it put 5 cameras on the smartphone, and more importantly, it was one of the first devices to put 3 different focal lengths on the back, so an ultra wide, a wide and a telephoto. This is something that I said we'd see in loads of smartphones going forward, and guess what? Most high-end flagship smartphones have an ultra-wide telephoto and a main camera. LG has manufactured countless smartphones with interesting and innovative features, but for me personally, it's not necessarily the creation of the devices that I'm particularly fond of. If you're a long-term subscriber of mine, you'll remember that about 3 or 4 years ago, almost all I talked about was LG. I talked about their boot loop issues, I reviewed tons of their devices, I compared them to other devices, and my first video to hit 100k views was actually an LG G3 video. This was a phone that my friend Barrett lent me for, I think it was about a month. I think it was only meant to be a week, but I ended up using it for a month. And I reviewed the whole thing, got loads of photos and everything. And it wasn't necessarily a device that really wowed me, but it was that experience and that starting off my career. So it's kind of important to me. And of course the boot loop thing, I was kind of known for that. So that's also what got me a lot of traction on my YouTube channel. But aside from the Nexus 4, my favorite G series device probably had to be the G4. Now I know it had its problems here and there, but for me, it was just that awesome camera. Laser autofocus was a beast back then. And like the photos this thing took was awesome. Was awesome? I meant were awesome. Sorry about that. Before we end this video, I want to give a massive shout out and thanks to Juan Carlos Bagnell. You're a legend in the space, my guy. I had to get the LG mobile guy on the YouTube video, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. We sat down and we talked for about half an hour and he gave me a lot of his time and we just talked about the smartphone market because he gave me his time and I'm really appreciative of that. If you, by some miracle, not heard of him, I will leave his social medias and YouTube in the links in the video description. He is kind of a legend in this space. And I want to pose a question to my viewers. The first one is, do you really care about LG backing out of the smartphone market? Does that worry you? Because for me, having less competition is never a good thing, and also their innovations, whilst maybe not for everyone, were really cool. And my second question is, do you like these kind of journalistic, documentary-ish, tiny, maybe not so much this one, but yeah, those kinds of videos, or do you prefer scripted kind of reviews and stuff like that? Let me know in the comments. I'm kind of trying to do a mixture of both at the moment. And whilst you're there, please do hit like, dislike and subscribe to never miss a video like this one. Please check out all my social media links in the video description. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive, so thank you so much. But yeah, I've been Ryan Thomas and I will catch you later. Peace.